Impressive work, James, Marcus said, scrolling through my presentation. His eyes darted across the screen, a flicker of greed in them as he leaned back in his leather chair. This security system could revolutionize how we protect corporate networks. I nodded, forcing myself to appear composed, though I couldn't help feeling proud. This project had consumed 2 years of my life. Thank you, sir. The neural network's ability to detect and adapt to new cyber threats is completely unique. My voice remained steady despite the mix of pride and unease bubbling within me. Marcus steepled his fingers, a faint smile tugging at his lips. We could patent this within months, he said. My name is James Chun, and at 32, I had developed something that could change the cybersecurity industry forever. An artificial intelligence system that could learn, adapt, and defend against threats in real time without human intervention. It was my life's work. Marcus's voice pulled me back to the present. The board meeting is next week. I want you to send me all the documentation, every line of code, every test result. Something in his tone made me pause. In my 5 years at TechShield Industries, I'd learned to read Marcus's moods. This request wasn't coming from excitement. It was calculated, predatory. Of course, I said carefully, though I should be there to explain the technical aspects. That won't be necessary, he cut in smoothly, waving off the suggestion. I understand it well enough to present it myself. Of course, he did. Marcus had been claiming credit for my work for years. Small innovations at first, but this was different. This wasn't just a feature or a tool. This was groundbreaking. This was everything. That evening, as I prepared the files he'd requested, a message popped up on my screen from Sarah in HR. Emergency meeting tomorrow. 9 a.m. mandatory. I stared at the screen, pieces clicking into place. Marcus wouldn't dare, would he? The next morning, I walked into the conference room to find Marcus, Sarah, and 2 security guards waiting. The atmosphere was thick with tension. Marcus leaned back in his chair, an almost smug expression plastered across his face. James, he began, not bothering to hide his smirk. We've discovered some concerning behavior. Unauthorized use of company resources, working on personal projects during company time. I stayed silent, letting him lay out his trap. Furthermore, he continued, you violated your contract by developing competing technology while employed here. All your work belongs to TechShield. We'll be taking control of the project effective immediately. I locked eyes with him. You mean you'll be taking control? I said quietly. His smile widened. Pack your things. Security will escort you out. As I gathered my belongings, I could see Marcus through the glass wall of his office, already rehearsing his board presentation. He thought he'd won, that he'd stolen 2 years of my work with a few manufactured accusations. What he didn't know was that I had seen this coming months ago. The AI system had a unique feature, one I hadn't documented. Buried deep within its neural pathways was a specialized protocol designed to activate exactly 30 days after deployment. That night, back in my apartment, I opened my laptop and accessed the hidden server where I'd been documenting everything. Conversations with Marcus, stolen ideas, manipulated reports, and, most importantly, every change he'd made to my code after stealing it. A message from Tom, my closest ally at the company, popped up. He's already modifying the base code, trying to make it look like his work. Just like you said he would. I smiled, knowing the trap was already set. Every change Marcus made, every attempt to erase my fingerprints from the project, only strengthened the hidden protocol. Over the next few weeks, I watched from a distance as Marcus prepared for his grand unveiling. Updates from Tom came daily. He's rewriting the documentation, removing all traces of your name, but he's making mistakes. Perfect. Then, 20 days after my firing, Sarah from HR showed up at my apartment. She looked over her shoulder nervously before I let her in. James, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I need to tell you something about Marcus. Sarah had always been loyal to Marcus, so her presence surprised me. He's done this before, she admitted, perching on the edge of my couch. At his last company, he stole a major project and fired the developer. The guy tried to sue, but the evidence disappeared, just like your personnel files are disappearing now. She handed me a thumb drive. I found these while archiving your files, original project proposals from 2 years ago. Your proposals. They're time-stamped and signed. Marcus must have missed these. I took the drive, knowing it would fit perfectly with the evidence I'd been collecting. Aren't you worried about your job? I asked. She straightened her blazer. Some things are more important than jobs, James. Besides, I already have interviews lined up. What Marcus is doing isn't just wrong, it's illegal. 7 days before the board meeting, I received a message from Marcus himself. James, it read, upon review, perhaps we were hasty in terminating your position. Would you consider a consulting role? Limited scope? Of course. He was getting nervous. The system wasn't behaving as he expected. I didn't reply. The night before the board presentation, I logged into the hidden server one last time. Tom's update made me grin. He's completely botched the architecture, trying to make it his own. It's a disaster. The next day, as Marcus stood before the board, unveiling the revolutionary AI system, the protocol activated. The AI did exactly what it was designed to do, expose every vulnerability, every security threat, including the ones hiding in the CEO's office. By the time the meeting ended, Marcus was escorted out by the same security guards he had sent for me. And as for me, I had already secured a meeting with investors, this time on my terms. Marcus had spent weeks meticulously modifying my system, convinced his changes would make it his own masterpiece. Yet, every alteration he made resulted in unpredictable outcomes, leaving him frustrated and unable to understand why I hadn't responded to his overtures. 3 days before the board meeting, Marcus made another attempt to win me over, offering a generous compensation package in exchange for my technical expertise. I remained silent. He wasn't ready for the truth. The day before the board presentation, Tom, my confidant, sent me a brief message. Everything's in place. Marcus has scheduled a company-wide system update for tomorrow morning. The entire board will be watching the live demonstration. I smiled. The elegant simplicity of my plan was coming together. Marcus had been trying to erase me from my own creation, oblivious to the fact that every adjustment he made only enhanced the system's core purpose, to identify and expose security threats. Tomorrow, in front of the board and an audience of stakeholders, the system would do exactly that. Thanks, Tom, I replied. Make sure you're recording tomorrow. Capture every screen, every reaction. Then, I sat back and waited for the show to begin. The next morning, I found myself at a coffee shop across the street from TechShield's headquarters. Through the live feed Tom had set up, I watched the boardroom come to life. Executives, investors, and journalists filled the space, their chatter buzzing with anticipation. At the front of the room stood Marcus, exuding confidence as he prepared to unveil what he called a revolutionary breakthrough in cybersecurity. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus began, standing proudly at the podium. Today, we unveil the future of cybersecurity, an AI system capable of detecting and neutralizing threats in real time. I glanced at my watch. 3 minutes until the system update went live. This technology, Marcus continued, represents a quantum leap in network protection. Allow me to demonstrate. A notification from Tom popped up on my screen. Update initiating. You should see his face on screen. Marcus clicked to start the demonstration. The massive display behind him lit up, showcasing the AI's sleek interface. At first, everything appeared normal, just as Marcus had rehearsed. Then, the system's voice broke the silence. Initiating security protocol, it announced. Detecting unauthorized modifications to core architecture. Marcus's confident smile faltered. This wasn't part of his script. Warning. The AI continued. Multiple security vulnerabilities detected. Source. Recent unauthorized changes to base code by user Marcus Wheeler. The color drained from Marcus's face. He began clicking through screens, trying desperately to regain control. But every action he took only triggered more revelations. The display shifted, showcasing side-by-side comparisons. My original, elegant code versus Marcus's clumsy, haphazard modifications. Timestamps of his changes flashed on the screen, alongside recorded meetings where he had taken credit for my work. Then came the damning emails. Messages in which Marcus had outlined his plans to have me fired. The AI's voice narrated the unfolding chaos. What you are seeing is a comprehensive security audit. My primary function is to identify and expose threats to system integrity. The biggest threat detected: systematic theft of intellectual property by Marcus Wheeler. Proof of Marcus's misdeeds filled the screen. Documented evidence appeared next. His pattern of stealing others' work, the original project proposal bearing my name, and timestamps, and more. The room erupted into chaos. Journalists scrambled to capture every detail. Investors murmured furiously amongst themselves. One board member stood up, glaring at Marcus. "Mr. Wheeler," the board member demanded, "what is the meaning of this?" Marcus stammered, It's a trick. A disgruntled ex-employee must have." Actually, a voice interrupted from the doorway. It was Tom, holding a stack of papers. "This is exactly what the AI is designed to do: protect intellectual property and expose security threats. James Chun built the system. These are the original development logs proving his ownership." Marcus's world collapsed before my eyes. The board members looked from Marcus to the evidence, their expressions shifting from disbelief to fury. Marcus's frantic attempts to defend himself were drowned out by the uproar. Security escorted him out of the building before the meeting even concluded. Later that day, my phone buzzed with a message from Charles Montgomery, the board chairman. "Mr. Chun, this is Charles Montgomery. Would you be willing to meet to discuss your AI system? The real one, not the compromised version Mr. Wheeler attempted to present." I replied, "Of course. Though you should know, what you saw today was the real system, working exactly as designed. It protects against all security threats, including corporate espionage." Within hours, news of the scandal had spread like wildfire. Headlines declared, "AI exposes corporate theft during live demo." Blogs dissected Marcus's downfall, highlighting his years of intellectual property theft uncovered by the AI. A week later, I sat before the board of directors, presenting my true vision for the system. They listened intently as I explained the ethical protocols built into the AI, how it was designed not just to protect networks, but to ensure corporate transparency and accountability. "We'd like to offer you a position," Charles said after my presentation. "Chief Technology Officer, with full control over your AI's development. And of course, complete patent rights under your name." I accepted, with one condition. Tom would lead my development team, and Sarah, another trusted colleague, would head a newly established corporate ethics division. As for Marcus, his career was over. Lawsuits piled up as other companies he'd wronged came forward. The AI had revealed not just his theft of my work, but a long history of deception. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't about destruction. It's about letting the truth reveal itself at the perfect moment. Now, every time I walk past Marcus's former office, which is now mine, I think about something my father used to say: "Intelligence without integrity is a weapon pointed in the wrong direction." Marcus thought he was stealing a weapon. Instead, he armed it against himself. Today, the AI system is an industry standard, protecting not just against external threats, but internal ones too. Every time it identifies and stops corporate theft, I remember that pivotal board meeting. Marcus spent so much time trying to erase me from my creation. He never realized my true signature wasn't in the documentation or the code comments. It was in the very heart of the system. An unshakable commitment to exposing the truth and protecting what's right.